Yes, now it's visible. Yes, we can move to the next slide, please.
Yes.
You can just go to this tools option and view this as full screen. Yes, thank you. So so going to the brief background of CL, that is computational linguistics. So it all started. Okay, I will continue I think there are speakers of both Hindi and English there. So can I switch to both the languages or not?
Yes, yes, you can continue.
Okay. So in the 40s, it started with encryption, decryption, neural automata, neural networks, and neural linguistics. So the computational linguistics, the experts say that the background of all these things started during the Second World War, when there was a requirement to code and decode messages, military messages. From Surbi, can you please mute yourself? Because I can hear my echo. Surbi, can you please mute yourself? Yes. So there was a need for the US military to decrypt the coded messages of the military of the today's Russia, that the then day USSR. So for that, they employed special persons to translate, and also to not just to translate from Russian to English, but from that coded language to this. And it was the same time when around Second World War, when this Turing machine also got invented. Okay, we will talk about it. That Turing machine, all the computer science people must be knowing that Turing machine is not a physical machine, but it's a mathematical model of how to compute any algorithm. Then in 50s, it went to machine translation, then dictionaries, text utilities, concurrences, and translation was funded very well. And the Georgetown experiment was taken, Georgetown University experiment. And then in the 60s, the ALPAC, Automatic Language Processing Advisory Committee report came, and due to that report said that a massive funding in the area of machine translation, जो बहुत बड़ी funding हुई थी, that funding uh, went in a vein, and this machine translation project was sent to a sabbatical. The reason behind that was that it was means people and the computer scientists and the research scientists thought that if we just represented the grammar of any language from one language into or from one natural language to a computational model, we made a computational model of a grammar. Then the or we just wrote rules to interpret their grammar into a computer language, and then afterwards just coding and decoding mechanism was needed. And if this same process was repeated to all other languages, the task of machine translation to complete it by 100% accuracy was just a matter of time. But sadly, this doesn't happen, and this program went to a haywire. Then 60s, theoretical informatics, complexity, natural language parsing, speech, this kind of activity started. Then 70s, psycholinguistic interpretation of parsers and generators, the new thing started. And in 80s, logic, inference, unification, universal networking languages, and this kind of things. Universal networking language for this knowledge representation and natural language interfaces. What we are seeing, the pinnacle of this things in chat gpt and other things, and analyze that natural language working as an interface between humans and a machine. So we move towards intelligent communication in this era. Then bi and multi-modal interfaces, not just from a single keyboard input, and towards this human input, image input, and various kinds of input in 80s and 90s. And in 2000 to 2020, we moved from rule-based systems to web resources, large resources, big data, mining, all these things. So this is in short. Then future is a question mark. We move to the next slide then. Then, continuing to the background, computational linguistics and natural language processing (NLP). It started, and then inference engines. Okay, so I'm supposing that all people knowing here this inference engine, but those who don't know, inference engines are just a kind of a software who those who infer or deduct a kind of a result from given knowledge. Just like a Sanskrit Nyaya Parampara, the Nyaya syllogism of Sanskrit or the Tark Vakya. There are Sanskrit Nyaya philosophy, the Indian philosophy of Nyaya philosophy. Uh, it views logic through two kinds of syllogism or Tark Vakya. First one is that three stage Tark Vakya, त्रिस्तरीय तर्क वाक्य, एंड सेकंड वन इज पंचस्तरीय तर्क वाक्य. त्रिस्तरीय तर्क वाक्य में थ्री स्टेजेस होती है. फॉर एग्जांपल, यू नो द वेरी फेमस एग्जांपल दैट पर्वतो वन्यमान, और उसके बाद में उसको सपोर्ट करने के लिए यत्र यत्र धूमो तत्र तत्र वन्नी पर्वतो धूमवान. पत्र पर्वतो धूमवान means mountain, धूमवान means smoky, that the mountain is being smoky, and the first premise, and then second premise to support it, the general statement that यत्र यत्र धूमो तत्र तत्र वन्नी, जहां जहां धुआं होता है वहां वहां आग होती है. उसके बाद में उससे जो डिडक्शन निकाला जाता है तीसरा, कि पर्वतो वन्यमान, अतः जो पर्वत है, जो माउंटेन है, माउंटेन इज हैविंग फायर, फायर इज एनीवेयर इन द माउंटेन. सो दिस इन्फ्रेंस इज taken out of two premises, the two propositions. The third premise is taken, and the third deduction is taken. और ये जैसे त्रिस्तरीय तर्क वाक्य, and then five स्तरीय तर्क वाक्य, five stage तर्क वाक्य is there. So inference engine does what in the case of computer, in case of this, in the case of Nyaya syllogism, there is a human intellect which is drawing out the inference, and in the inference engines, the inference engine, the computer code draws out this engine. Then intelligent tutoring system, what work I am doing or what work or you all the faculty members are doing, the computers and the systems are doing that work. Then vision machines and computer vision, which makes out or interprets images to systematic knowledge, semantic knowledge, and the systematic information, meaningful information is attributed out of these vision machines. And robotics, and then AI. And this AI is synonymous with machine learning, and because AI also happens when only happens when machine understand natural language text. Next, please. Okay, so then we move towards conventional SCI, human computer interaction. Humans give an input in the language of computer, what computer understand. A whole lot of steps are there, but simply the first or input was keyboard or mouse. Okay, so this was a way to, ये एक वे था कंप्यूटर के साथ इंटरेक्ट करने का इन द लैंग्वेज ऑफ कंप्यूटर, विच लैंग्वेज the language which computer understands. But we went into intelligent SCI, which is human computer intelligent interaction. Human interacts with machine with human with intelligent means of communication, which are essentially human means of communication. Just for the there is a very good example that just suppose you are interacting with a computer with a curtain in between, and you are talking to it, and you can't predict that whether it is a computer or it is a human being. So this is called the standard of human computer intelligent interaction, SCI. Then SCI will be possible that day. And then one of the objectives of NLP is to make this happen, and if the means of communication is language particularly. Next, please. Okay, so for making this possible, you all know machine translation, because you have to translate your language, which, for suppose I am speaking in English, or I am speaking in Odia, I am speaking in Hindi, it needs to be translated into the language of computer if I am talking to computers or systems, and it needs to translate it into the language of the human, the other human. So suppose he knows Tamil, so it needs to be translated into Tamil. So here the concept of pivot language came, pivot language or interlingua, it came, So, what was the benefit of pivot? Less effort was taken, resources and less resources, but the demerit was more ambiguity. There is a famous example of Hernan Cortes. Hernan Cortes was a was a European, and he wanted to talk to uh, Mesoamericans. So he talked Spanish to somebody. Then a Spanish person talked the Mayan to somebody. Then that Mayan person talked their Hutu or their particular language. He talked to them. So in that case, in the case of pivot, the languages, the combinations you need, it is n minus one. If suppose there are five languages, you need four combinations only. Whereas in the case of uh, translation engine from one language to another, you need each and every combination. That the formula will be n square minus n upon 2. Okay, next please. Then the concept of universal networking language came into fore. Concept orientation was anchored in three basic mechanisms: labeled links, that were binary relations between the tokens, then universal words, and then attributes, their attributes, three things. And it could be, or it can be used as an interlingua in empty machine translation. But it should not be forgotten that UNL can be very well chosen or used as an interlingua, but its prime benefit is knowledge representation. Okay, next please. Okay. Then the Esperanto language, which was founded or invented in 19th century. So it is an international auxiliary language. System of derivation was kept into place. Prefixes and suffixes were used to create many combination from small amount of words. Very small amount of words was in that lexicon, and many small prefixes and suffixes were there to combine them and to create a large amount of vocabulary. And many persons actually learn this language. They are speakers of this language. Although this language is not language of any country, or it is not a semi-official or secondary language in any of the countries, but systems are making. Duolingo is using this language. Google Translate is using, and it is having the highest speakers among artificial or semi-artificial languages. Next. Okay, knowledge representation. So we have three questions for this knowledge representation: how to represent knowledge, and how in the this all this computer science and technical things, you all must be computer science people must be knowing. But these three questions come to fore relating to this today's topic. क्या संस्कृत कंप्यूटर के लिए उपयोगी हो सकती है? Can Sanskrit be beneficial to the computer? And then second one, क्या संस्कृत के लिए कंप्यूटर उपयोगी हो सकता है? Can computer be equally beneficial for Sanskrit? And here Sanskrit, I am taking Sanskrit as a representative language of all Indian languages. And then क्या संस्कृत computing अन्य भाषाओं की अपेक्षा श्रेयस्कर है? कि अन्य किसी हम लैंग्वेज को ले लें, means this is not to demean any language. All languages are equally important, but due to the grammatical capabilities, uh, in uh, in in comparison with any northeast language, or any language of South India, or any tribal language, or any language of Jammu and Kashmir, or any state of India, can Sanskrit computing may be beneficial for us to reduce our efforts? So these three basic questions are in front of us. We will try to answer these three questions in the coming slides. Okay. So the answer is हाँ, yes. Why? Because we are today in the age of intelligent computing. आज हम प्रबुद्ध संगणन के युग में हैं. मशीन में कृत्रिम ज्ञान निरूपण, आर्टिफिशियल नॉलेज रिप्रेजेंटेशन से बड़े कार्य किए जा सकते हैं. We can do various level of task through artificial knowledge representation. How? Next, please. The case of so now I am doing advocating. I am now advocating for Sanskrit. मशीन में क्या होता है? मशीन में प्रोग्रामिंग के द्वारा सूचना को एनकोड किया जाता है. The machine encodes through any language. C, C++, Java, all languages are used to encode any information, data. You all know the data is, when arranged in a particular manner, it becomes information. Information becomes knowledge. When we further process it, and further processing, it becomes wisdom. So the ultimate goal is wisdom. Either it is human wisdom or it is computer wisdom. That is AI, because we all know the ethical problems and these things. I'm not going to discuss that. But even after taking this large amount of data and processing it, today is the time of less programming, less coding, and more of the information and data sets. You all know the chat GPT servers, lakhs of codes are used, and large amount of full web and text and everything. Before 21, it was uh, the possible amount of data, the largest or heaviest possible amount of data was given to it. It is always in the news. And after that, even after that, it makes ethical errors, and it gives us things which are contrary to human language. For example, I give you 100 rupees, then you should give me 100 rupees back. It is ethical. So in the language, in the terms of generative AI or in computer, it will be a very perfect answer that I have given you 100 rupees, you give me 100 rupees back. Okay. But if I am needing or not in both the cases. But if suppose I have given you a weapon, okay, suppose it is a licensed weapon, and now I am under the influence of drugs, or intoxicated, or there is a personal enmity, or I am depressed, or and I ask to that weapon for in this case, the case of computer, it can be perfectly okay for the computer to give me the weapon, to give the lend weapon my back. And but it should not be, it is not correct to the world knowledge. The world knowledge says that it should not be done. For a very simple example of gyan nirupan in Sanskrit, that we take this, saha bhojanam khadati. So सह भोजनम खादति, वह भोजन खाता है, वह भोजन ग्रहण करता है. So this particular sentence is perfectly okay in the in the sense of grammar, and in the sense of world knowledge also. But there is another sentence, सह वन्निना सिंचति, वन्निना क्षेत्रम सिंचति, वह अग्नि से क्षेत्र को, खेत को सींचता है. So this particular sentence, this string, this string is perfectly valid for the computer. But this इसका जो वास्तविक जो संसार है, उसमें इसके ज्ञान का बाद हो जाता है कि वन्यना सिंचती, कि अग्नि के द्वारा सिंचन का कार्य है, संभव ही नहीं है. टू इरिगेट विथ फायर इज नॉट पॉसिबल. सो ये जो चीज है, इन सब चीज जो अंतर है, और ये जो सटलिटीज होती है, दिस ऑल सटलिटीज ऑफ दिस लैंग्वेज, we need knowledge representation and in interlingua, and especially while doing machine translation. Okay, so and we should be very clear that these subtleties and variances, these are always too much for any natural language to understand and to comprehend and to encode. अब जब किसी एक लैंग्वेज से दूसरी लैंग्वेज में जब आप when you translate, आप ट्रांसलेट करेंगे. फॉर एग्जांपल संस्कृत टू, आई वांट टू ट्रांसलेट फ्रॉम हिंदी टू उड़िया. सो इन हिंदी टू उड़िया, देर इतना वर्ल्ड नॉलेज का डिफरेंस होगा, बिकॉज इट वाज इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस है. इतना वर्ल्ड नॉलेज का डिफरेंस नहीं होगा. फॉर एग्जांपल आई वांट टू ट्रांसलेट फ्रॉम लैटिन टू उड़िया. सो वर्ल्ड नॉलेज का इतना डिफरेंस होगा कि कोई भी आप ले लें, कोई भी आप एक नेटवर्किंग लैंग्वेज ले लें, यूएनएल बेस्ड अप्रोच लें, या एस्पेरेंटो ले लें, या संस्कृत के एनी लैंग्वेज, एनी इंटरलिंगुआ यू कैन टेक, विच इज एन एब्स्ट्रैक्ट लैंग्वेज, and which is not even language, it is a language independent encoding, coded form of all the languages, जिसमें सभी का जो है नॉलेज आ जाता है. इसका सोर्स लैंग्वेज स्पीकर का भी और टारगेट लैंग्वेज स्पीकर्स का भी, बोथ द सोर्स लैंग्वेज स्पीकर एंड टारगेट लैंग्वेज स्पीकर. स्टिल देयर इज ए जो नॉलेज है, उस नॉलेज में इतनी सारी सटलिटीज होती है. फॉर एग्जांपल, आई एम सेइंग to Professor Suchishmita, I'm saying दूर से, I'm calling him, I'm calling her, she is standing somewhere, I'm calling her, आ जाओ. So she is standing in a group of people. So आ जाओ. So this आ जाओ has many real world implications. So in real world, if I am signaling her, and I'm also telling, and I am also raising my voice, and I'm also pointing out to her, so he will understand. So in real world person, she will understand, or he will understand. Dr. Survi or Neha will understand that whom I'm calling. And to, but जब कंप्यूटर को आप बताते हैं तो आ जाओ, तो पहली बात तो किसको कह रहे हो आ जाओ, काफी भीड़ में से कौन आ जाओ, क्योंकि मैंने इशारे से बताया। फिर दूसरी बात कि कहाँ तक आ जाओ, और ये कि कितनी देर के बाद आना है। मान लीजिए कोई स्टेज प्रोग्राम है तो कितनी देर के बाद आना है, 2 मिनट बाद आना है, 10 सेकंड बाद आना है, तुरंत आना है, राष्ट्रगान चल रहा है तो उसके बाद आना है, कैसे कितने के बाद आना है। तो ये जो सारी नॉलेज है, ये सारी नॉलेज हमारी जो लैंग्वेजेस है, ह्यूमन लैंग्वेजेस में इनकोडेड होती है। बट दिस प्रोग्रामिंग, मानव की, जैसा कि लिखा है, मानव भाषा की अपेक्षा प्रोग्रामिंग भाषा ज्ञान निरूपण में असक्षम हो जाती है। दिस ऑल जो लैंग्वेज हम यूज करते हैं, प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेजेस, एनी प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज इज नॉट केपेबल ऑफ डूइंग। बट इसका जो उसका दूसरा पक्ष ये होता है, द सेकंड एस्पेक्ट ऑफ दिस इज दैट कि ये जब आप एनकोड करते हैं, जब ह्यूमन लैंग्वेज में आप बात करते हैं, तो ह्यूमन लैंग्वेजेस आर वेरी मच एम्बिगुअस, नॉट वेरी क्लियर, एंड नॉट मच, एंड the, these programming languages are not interpretable, and these human languages are ambiguous, that there can be many, all lot of meanings। दैनिक व्यवहार की भाषाओं का निश्चित स्वरूप नहीं होता है। they are also not very much structured, जिनसे कंप्यूटर से संवाद संभव नहीं है। if it's not structured, if the structure of that language is not already given to the computer, it can be the language of the computer। but now the question comes, क्या संस्कृत कंप्यूटर की भाषा बन सकती है? आओ नेक्स्ट प्लीज। Yes, because the tradition of Panini, Panini's Ashtadhyayi, 4,000 around rules are there, which are in Sutra part. Then there is Dhatu part for verbs. There is a collection of verbs. So Panini has given a very meta system of language, and I would like to tell you that the grammar of Panini is not grammar of Sanskrit. It is a grammar of any language of the world with examples of Sanskrit। So what Panini has done, it is made a meta system of सूत्र पाठ, धातु पाठ, एंड एंड गण पाठ। तो सूत्र पाठ में उन्होंने सूत्र डाल दिए, रूल्स, जिसे हम रूल्स कहते हैं, आप कैसे उसको आप कोड करना है लैंग्वेजेस को। तो धातु पाठ में कलेक्शन ऑफ वर्ब्स इज देयर, गण पाठ में कलेक्शन ऑफ गण्स आर देयर, और उसके अलावा उणादि कोश, और उसके अतिरिक्त पाणिनि शिक्षा, द रूल्स ऑफ प्लेस ऑफ आर्टिकुलेशन ऑफ ईच एंड एवरीथिंग। कितना आर्टिकुलेशन होगा, बाह्य प्रयत्न कितना होगा, एस्पिरेटेड कितना होगा, वॉइस कितने होंगे, वोवेल्स कैसे होंगे, कॉन्सोनेंट कितने होंगे, ये सारी चीज इनकोडेड है। बिकॉज द मीनिंग चेंजेस अकॉर्डिंग टू देम, how that word is pronounced, meaning also changes। you know intonation, because of intonation, especially the Munda languages of Jharkhand and the languages of Northeast, the Tibetan and Sino-Burmese language, and Indo-Tibetan languages, and the languages Northeast, because of intonation the meaning changes। So intonation, morphology, syntax, then syntax, and then semantics, and then discourse, and then the intended meaning। So this all things become knowledge, and for the representation of knowledge, very I think 2,800 years before this, Panini, that very smart guy, he made a system. And for Panini, the famous linguist Bloomfield, as you know what he has said, that Panini was a greatest linguist of antiquity, if not of all time। And also I would like to quote Jacques Derrida. He has also said that this Panini's Ashtadhyayi is Panini's Ashtadhyayi was sorry, I'm forgetting that what he said. One Bloomfield has said that Panini's Ashtadhyayi is the greatest monument of human intelligence, and other one has said that Panini was the greatest linguist of antiquity, if not of all time। And it's all linguistic tradition continued from Panini to Vartik, then Vartik to Mahabhashya। So the interpretations of rules and corrections of rules were given by Vartik, by Katyayan in his Vartik, and then Mahabhashya by Patanjali। And then the philosophical and metaphysical aspects in 5th century by Bharatiya and all other Sanskrit philosophers of language was given। Then 1985, this famous paper of Sanskrit and AI, Rick Briggs, and NASA researcher, it came, and he shed light on many of the aspects, and Sanskrit as a foundation of calling. This paper is also very famous। Nicholas Osler, please take me to the next slide। ओके, संस्कृत भाषा की विशेष स्थिति, लैंग्वेज ऑफ इंटेलेक्चुअल ट्रेडिशन, इट इज शास्त्रीय परंपरा की भाषा है। जो हमारी मूल शास्त्रीय परंपरा की भाषा है, जिसमें संस्कृत है, तमिल है, उड़िया, असमीज एंड मेनी अदर साउथ इंडियन एंड अदर लैंग्वेजेस, तो उसमें जैसे लैंग्वेज ऑफ इंटेलेक्चुअल ट्रेडिशन, सो it is very much important that any language which has to be chosen or which has to be developed as an interlingua, because choosing an interlingua is a very serious and very important task for India, because it should be the representative language of all the Indian languages, and all the Indian knowledge, जो भी भारत की शास्त्रीय परंपरा है, भारत का जो भी प्राचीन ज्ञान है जो सनातन चला आ रहा है, वो सारे ज्ञान को कोड करने के लिए दैट लैंग्वेज इज वेरी should be chosen, because and that language should be representative. So in that case, Sanskrit is Sanskrit is a very that a very continuous tradition. That tradition also shrunk sometimes, and it just like a river Ganga, it sometimes shrank and sometimes its spread was very wide, but somehow it continued at every time, every moment of time. Then it should be also the second one, किसी प्रदेश विदेश की भाषा नहीं, फिर भी सबकी भाषा. It should be also a language representation. It is not spoken in any of the state. It represents all the languages, and it was present during all the time frame when all other languages were flourishing or originating in both the time. So जो भारत का सारा ज्ञान विज्ञान है, उसको रिप्रेजेंट करने के लिए एक भाषा की आवश्यकता है, क्योंकि जितना भी आप एक लैंग्वेज से दूसरी लैंग्वेज में ट्रांसलेट करेंगे, सपोज यू आर गोइंग टू ट्रांसलेट फ्रॉम तमिल टू उड़िया, और फ्रॉम असमीज टू गुजराती, फ्रॉम पंजाबी टू कोंकणी, और फ्रॉम मलयालम टू डारी और कश्मीरी. सो आपको ऐसी भाषा चाहिएगी जो सारी भाषाओं को समेट करके ले सके, और उसके जो सटलिटीज है लैंग्वेज की, जो उसके अंदर नॉलेज एम्बेडेड है, उस नॉलेज को उस नॉलेज, उसका जो लेक्सिकॉन है, सबसे पहले तो उसका लेक्सिकॉन इतना ज्यादा रिच हो, लेक्सिकॉन शुड बी रिच, दैट वो सारी जितनी भी सही तरीके से मीनिंग को कन्वे कर सके. एंड फॉर दिस केस संस्कृत इज गुड, एंड संस्कृत मे बी गुड, आई एम जस्ट प्रेजेंटिंग इट. परिष्कृत, संस्कृत इज परिष्कृत, नियमबद्ध, इट इज स्टैंडर्डाइज, मानकीकृत. Then Panini Vyakaran, ज्ञान आधारित शोध परंपरा, the knowledge based studies both of grammar and also knowledge based. So both of the world knowledge and both the knowledge, the linguistic apparatus which Panini has given. And समृद्धशाली अतीत युक्त प्राकृतिक भाषा, जो लगभग एक मानव निर्मित सटीकता से युक्त है. So knowledge को भी रिप्रेजेंट करती है, आप सब जानते हैं. इसके अंदर आयुर्वेदा, धनुर्वेदा, जितने भी 64 ललित कलाएं हैं, उसके अतिरिक्त साइंसेज हैं, मैथमेटिक्स हैं, सारी जो पुरानी ओल्ड मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स है, द ओल्ड मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स आर देयर इन संस्कृत, and and many all other languages are also present at the same time, but the amount of the rich knowledge base and intellectual tradition, 45 lakh unpublished manuscripts are there in Sanskrit, which are yet to be published, and still the knowledge is there. I don't want to quote that famous quote of that William Jones, that Sanskrit is more copious than the Latin, more copious than Latin, and more prosperous than Greek, and that is next slide. Okay, but the condition of language is that languages in India, in the census of 1991, Hindi language was having 37 million speakers. Sanskrit was having 49,000 native speakers in 2001. Hindi, it increased to 422 million, and Sanskrit came down to 14,000 in 2011. The native speakers of Hindi 428 million, and to Sanskrit it was 24,000. Okay, next please. Okay, I would like to present you the KPMG report on India's internet. Okay, in 2011, the Indic language users of internet, okay, who are using Indic content or who are demanding Indic content, what 4.2 billion, 4.2 crore log use कर रहे थे. It increased to 234 million, 23 crores, just 6 time increase, from 4 crores to 24 crores almost in 2016. This figure must be around, because due to 4G and 5G and all other revolutions, internet revolution, broadband revolution in India, this figure must be around 500 million, 50 crore, who must be using this Indic language content. For this Indic language content user, it means that all the speakers or of India, all the users who are using this internet, and the masses want to use their content in their own language. English is not their preference. They want to use content in their own language. You can see all the graphs in 2016 of 11, 16 and 21, which is provisional data. Okay, it is also corroborating what my version is for 53.6 crores. So this was the KPMG report government submitted to government of India. So this was also Google's help was also taken. Next slide, please. And you all know that if systems to Sanskrit, if we make just if we can connect just two languages. For example, I want to translate Odia or Tamil or Telugu or Kannada or Assamese or Gujarati to English or any of the European languages. What you can do, you can go to Sanskrit. What is happening currently, that English has been used as an interlingua. So the case we are presenting, that Sanskrit can be Sanskrit can be and should be used as an interlingua, because जब आप इंग्लिश के थ्रू आप जब यूरोपियन लैंग्वेजेस में ट्रांसलेट करते हैं, you want to, the basic purpose is to go global and to connect with all the Indo-European and all other languages of the world. So what Google is doing, it is taking English as an interlingua, which is sometimes, not sometimes, many a times it's lacking in translation and representation. For example, there was a in IGNU there was a recent project to translate the courses into Telugu and other South Indian languages of a BA philosophy and MA philosophy. The material has to be translated. So the help of Google Translate was taken to translate the IGNU material, the IGNU SLM into Telugu. So we just we just blindly follow this machine translation systems, uh, which are which may be giving very nice results in the case of some Hindi to English or English to Hindi, or from any other related language which is not so far away or very much data is available. But in the case of this low resource languages, especially Indian languages which do not have many much resources, असमीज को ले लीजिए, मिजो को ले लीजिए, नागा लैंग्वेज को ले लीजिए, आप और किसी ट्राइबल है तुलु को ले लीजिए, आप चाहे संस्कृत इटसेल्फ इज अ लो रिसोर्स लैंग्वेज, बट सपोज हम मिल करके एक रिसोर्स बना लेते हैं या रूल बेस बना लेते हैं, अथवा हाइब्रिड सिस्टम बना लेते हैं, रूल बेस में जिसमें सारे रूल्स को आप इनकोड कर दें, या आप एक इंटरलिंगुआ बनाने में कामयाब हो जाते हैं, एक संस्कृत बेस्ड इंटरलिंगुआ, तो आप इंडिया के नॉलेज को अच्छे से रिप्रेजेंट कर पाएंगे, ग्रामेटिकली सारी लैंग्वेज अच्छी है उससे आप रिप्रेजेंट कर पाएंगे. देन Sanskrit to English system is already in place. It was placed in by myself only during my PhD thesis, and with a very novel mechanism and very less amount of data, हम इंग्लिश से कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं. और एंड machine translation systems from English to other European languages and other languages of the world, Arabian languages, are already available. So if we put this missing link in and we go to English and other languages through Sanskrit, okay, so then we just make a machine translation to Sanskrit, or and to make a machine translation to Sanskrit means making an interlingua, and it just थोड़ा सा effort का अंतर है, it is just subtle difference of effort. Then and all the Indian languages are connected to all the Indo-European languages and all the other global languages. So how the Sanskrit tradition can be useful? Sanskrit tradition is a Karak, Akanksha, Yogyata based module. Case markers and Akanksha, Yogyata. Akanksha, Yogyata, Sannidhi, you all know. Emphasize it and won't elaborate. Then Nyaya Visheshik Adharit Swarup. Nyaya Shat Sannikarsh. 6 Sannikarsh हो गए, Samvay Sannikarsh, Samvay Sannikarsh. It can be, so the Nyaya patterns can be used as semantic networks to develop this interlingua. Then the case of artificial intelligence conceptual graphs, as Soha has said in his chapter, formalism, that these are formalism for knowledge representation, just like Navinay. And even some people are claiming that all these things, that the parser of this computer system and this the conceptual graphs, they must be influenced by Navinay techniques. Navinay techniques are same 500-year-old techniques. The new Nyaya, Navinay is new form of Nyaya philosophy, which makes many graphs. Suppose just like we make conceptual mapping of our courses, and it uses those conceptual mapping to deliver unambiguous knowledge to its speakers and to its listeners and to its students. The purpose was to encode the Nyaya philosophy in such a codified form that it should be used to defeat Buddhists during their debates with the Nyaya philosophers. But we can use it in this way. Then formal semantics, it was it was suggested by Galton in 1988, and then unification based approaches, which we have already discussed. Next, please. Okay, so these are the all the sub subjects vishayas of computational linguistics. Vaktri Abhigyan, speaker recognition. Then this is articulatory phonetics. Phonetics में articulatory phonetics, acoustic phonetics, how we speak, how we the meaning is transferred, and how this phones are transferred, and then auditory phonetics, how they are perceived by the human ear and through the mind. Is all, and then after the psycholinguistic processes, रूप विज्ञान, morphology, syntax, and semantics, then speech recognition, all these things, natural analyze, NLUI, and NLG, natural language generation, machine translation, and speech synthesis. These all things are relevant, and these all things will imply and use and utilize while making an intelligent system. So moving to the next slide. Okay, this I made this presentation quite big, so I don't I'm I can't explain everything in detail, but we will discuss the aspects which are crucial for making Sanskrit as an Indian lingua, and which are essential to connect all the Indian languages to all Indian languages to global languages, and to the technology as well. So the two संगणकीय भाषा विज्ञान की दो विधियां हैं, टू अप्रोचेस टू कंप्यूटेशनल लिंग्विस्टिक्स. व्याकरणिक विधि में रूल बेस्ड अप्रोच में व्याकरण के नियम संगणकीय प्रारूप में दिए जाते हैं. संगणक इन नियम को देखकर भाषाई डेटा को प्रोसेस करता है. आप रूल देते हैं कि सह भोजनम खादति, तो सह का क्या रोल है? भोजन है. भोजनम में जब अनुस्वार आएगा तो ऊपर एक डॉट बिंदी आएगी, तो वो क्या, उसका क्या रोल है? वो कर्म कारक का कार्य करता है. स में विसर्ग होने पर वह कार्य करता है कर्ता का, सब्जेक्ट का, वो ऑब्जेक्ट का कार्य करता है. और खादती, जैसे ती, जो संस्कृत के तिप जो प्रत्यय हैं वो लगते हैं, वो कार्य करेगा वर्ब का. तो ये आप उसको देते हैं, सारा एक एग्जॉस्टिव सेट ऑफ रूल बनाते हैं. एक ये तरीका होता है. इस अप्रोच का फायदा ये है कि ये आपको एम्बिग्युइटीज बहुत कम देता है, परंतु इसमें एरर्स, अमाउंट ऑफ एरर्स इज जस्ट यूज, बिकॉज आपने कहीं भी कोई भी रूल अगर प्रोसेस नहीं कर पाया तो सीधा सीधा उसका रिजल्ट होगा एरर. देन सांख्यिकी विधि, स्टैटिस्टिकल अप्रोच. पहले डेटा को देखकर वो इट जस्ट sees the pattern of data. A large amount of data is given, parallel data, just in the case of machine translation systems, we give it a large amount of data. From that data, it infers rules, and that infers rules it's on its own, and then the two things are translated, or and then lexical replacing is done. Okay, next please. Okay. पाणिनि व्याकरण की उपयोगिता यह है कि सांख्यिकी विधि इसलिए महत्वपूर्ण है क्योंकि फॉर्मल जो ग्रामर है वो किसी लैंग्वेज में अवेलेबल नहीं है. पाणिनि का जो व्याकरण है वो एकमात्र संपूर्ण व्याकरण है जो ऑलमोस्ट इट इज फॉर्मल, और इसका कंप्यूटेशनल मॉडल बनाया जा चुका है. रिसर्चेस हैव ऑलरेडी बीन डन, या अभी रिसर्चेस चल रहे हैं इन जेएनयू एंड इन अदर यूनिवर्सिटीज एज वेल, to make a mathematical model of Panini. So we can compute it to codes. ऐसा हो सका तो संस्कृत में कही हुई बात को कंप्यूटर समझ पाएगा, जो कि अभी तक किसी प्राकृतिक भाषा में संभव नहीं होता है. नेक्स्ट प्लीज. ओके, पाणिनि सिस्टम के जो कंपोनेंट है, फर्स्ट वन इज फोनेटिक कंपोनेंट, स्वनिम अवयव. सेकंड वन which is made up of swanim and pratyahar. Swanim, phonemes, which are 14 Maheshwar Sutras, and then Adirantin Sahita Pratyahars. Pratyahars which are made from this 14 Shiv Sutra. Then Niyam, डेटाबेस, सूत्र पाठ. नियम भी दो तरह के आप सभी जानते हैं, जो कि जैसे कि कंप्यूटर में हम कहते हैं कि लोकल वेरिएबल और ग्लोबल वेरिएबल. लोकल जिसका छोटे एरिया तक कोड में इफेक्ट होता है, ग्लोबल वेरिएबल जो कंप्यूटर का कोड कहता है. वैसे ही पाणिनि का सिस्टम भी कहता है छोटा तो उसका छोटे तक उसका प्रभाव जाता है। और जब कह दिया प्रत्यय, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई एम टेकिंग दिस सूत्र ऑफ पाणिनि, प्रत्यय, प्रत्यय ये अधिकार सूत्र है, मीन्स इसका अधिकार जो है वो इस पूरे, जब तक ये प्रकरण चलेगा तब तक इसका अधिकार चलेगा। सो दिस इज लाइक अ ग्लोबल वेरिएबल, इट कैन आल्सो बी कोडेड इन into computer format. And this two course which I have talked in the initial initial part of my lecture, the dhatu part and gan part, and then suchiya list, the list of pratyas and niyam vishesh pravishtiyan, with the entries which are special or which are upward to exceptions to the rules. Next please. पाणिनि का सिस्टम इज मोर फॉर्मल, स्पष्ट प्रक्रिया, इजी प्रोग्रामिंग, देन कंप्यूटर प्रोग्राम जैसी संरचना है, मानक निर्देश, वेरिएबल इंस्टेंटिएशन जस्ट लाइक प्रत्याहार एंड संज्ञा सूत्र, और वृद्धि, इवैल्यूएशन, वृद्धि, इवैल्यूएशन एंड एक्सपेंशन ऑफ द सूत्रास कैन आल्सो बी डन, और संभवतः इससे कंपाइलर का डिजाइन भी प्रभावित हो। पाणिनि सिस्टम एंड replacement procedures must have been, the computer compiler can be, may have been influenced by Panini. Next please. अब पाणिनि के नियमों को कैसे कंप्यूट किया जाए? ओके, एवरीबॉडी इज सेइंग that it is very easy to make a computer system for how, but we just take an example, the real world example. किसी प्रोग्रामिंग कार्य हेतु पाणिनि के नियमों को समझने हेतु सबसे पहले what we can do, we can generate a pseudo code. इसका उदाहरण है इको यांची। इको यांची एक ग्रामर, एक संस्कृत ग्रामर का एक सूत्र है, एक नियम है कि इक के स्थान पर यण आएगा। अब इक जो है, जो प्रत्याहार है, वो कैसे बना है? शिव सूत्रों से बना है। वो ऑलरेडी डिफाइंड है कि ई उ री, इक का मतलब है कि ई के मध्य में जितने, ई और क के मध्य में जितने भी वोवेल से कॉन्सोनेंट आते हैं उनको सबको ले लीजिए और उसका एक स्ट्रिंग बना लीजिए, ई उ री री इस केस में, और यण के केस में य र ल व। तो इको यंची कहता है इको यंची। अब इसको अगर आप सूडो कोड बना लें तो इसका जो पाणिनि का जो कोड ये कहता है इको यंची, दूसरा तस्मिन् नीति निर्दिष्टे पूर्वस्य, और तीसरा स्थाने अंतरतम। इको यंची के बाद होता है कि इको यंची तो है पर कैसे, जैसा कि पूर्व में निर्देश किया गया है। देन वो फिर वो पूछता है पूर्व पक्षी, या जिसको डाउट होता है वो स्टूडेंट पूछता है पाणिनि के ही इसमें ट्रीटाइज में, तो उसका जवाब दिया जाता है स्थाने अंतरतम, मींस रेस्पेक्टिव प्लेसेस पे आप उनको प्लेस कीजिए। ई उ री री के सामने य व र ल, जैसे जैसे हरि अव, हरे रव, या आप ले लीजिए मधुवरी, मधु प्लस अरि, मधु के जो अरि है, मधु और कैटअप नाम के जो दो राक्षस हुए थे उनके जो अरि, इसका मतलब विष्णु, मधवरी उसका जो संधि होकर के, तो मधु मधवरी, तो जो मधु का जो ऊ था दैट ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड इनटू व। सो वो कैसे ट्रांसफॉर्म होता है? वो इसी सूडो कोड से ट्रांसफॉर्म होता है। और ये सूडो कोड को यदि एक्चुअल कोड इन सम लैंग्वेज, इफ इट इज कोडेड इन जावा और एनी लैंग्वेज, इट कैन बी easily taught to the system, to the computer system or any intelligent system, then compile and run to get desired results and evaluate and debug. Next please. संस्कृत व्याकरण कंप्यूटिंग, बिकॉज पाणिनि व्याकरण का फाइनाइट स्टेट ऑटोमेटा बनाना बड़ा आसान है। इसमें ध्वनि विज्ञान मॉड्यूल, कौन सा शब्द बोला जा रहा है आप जानते होंगे। कि जो भी लोग फोनेटिक्स में काम करते हैं, जब आप नॉर्मली हम बोलते हैं तो आपको लगता है कि बहुत जल्दी से प्रोसेस हो जाती है, पर जब आप स्पीच को जब एनालाइज करते हैं प्राट और ऑडेसिटी एक्सेट्रा सॉफ्टवेयर से, तो व्हेन यू रिकॉर्ड योर वॉइस आप एक स्पेशल टाइप का पैटर्न देखते हैं। तो दैट पैटर्न इज आल्सो क्रिएटेड ऑन आवर ईयर्स आल्सो। तो जो पैटर्न कंप्यूटर के माइक्रोफोन पे, उसके सिस्टम पे जो बन रहा है, वो इट आल्सो इज आल्सो क्रिएटेड वेरी फास्ट, वेरी इन अ वेरी ऑटोमेटिक मैनर इन ह्यूमन ब्रेन एंड ह्यूमन ईयर। सो ये सिखाना कंप्यूटर को ध्वनि विज्ञान मॉड्यूल कि कैसे उसका इंटरप्रिटेशन किया जाएगा, वो सिखाना। दूसरा जिसको आप सिंपली आज आप कहते हैं कि स्पीच टू टेक्स्ट, दूसरा शिव सूत्र, और तीसरा आंतरिक संधियां, क्योंकि संधियां कंजक्शन वर्ड होते हैं। ये तीन चीज सिखाना। नेक्स्ट, उसके बाद में फाइनाइट स्टेट ऑटोमेटा के अंदर उसके अलावा शब्द विज्ञान मॉड्यूल, मॉर्फोलॉजिकल थिंग्स, देन कारक और अर्थ विज्ञान मॉड्यूल, केस मार्कर्स, हर शब्द का हर वाक्य में क्या मीनिंग होगा उसका, बिकॉज संस्कृत इज अ वेरी, यू टोल्ड अर्लियर दैट संस्कृत इज अ वेरी position independent language, whereas the languages of Europe and other Indo-European languages are position dependent languages. John killed the tiger and the tiger killed the John. This both the two sentences implied very much different meanings. Where in Sanskrit, Ramah Amram khadati, Amrah Ramam khadati, और खादती राम आम्रम, इसमें राम आम खाता है, यही मीनिंग रहेगा। आम राम को खाता है, ये मीनिंग नहीं होगा। आप चाहे राम और आम का जो जो प्लेस है वाक्य में, उसको बदलने के उपरांत भी उसका मीनिंग नहीं बदलता है। देन अदर वन इज आकांक्षा योग्यता सन्निधि मॉड्यूल। यू ऑल नो आकांक्षा, that you say one word, then akanksha means what next, then yogita, the example of Vandina Sinchati, then Sannidhi. All the three components of the string should be together. So ये इसका मॉड्यूल to encode it, ये सारा होना चाहिए फाइनाइट स्टेट ऑटोमेटा के लिए। नेक्स्ट, तो अन्य भारतीय, इसके अन्य क्या लाभ हो सकते हैं? अन्य भारतीय भाषाओं के लिए संगणकीय संसाधन संस्कृत के मॉडल पर बनाए जा सकते हैं और व्याकरण के साथ, ये ग्रामेटिकल कंपोनेंट की हमने बात की, ग्रामेटिकल कंपोनेंट के साथ, जिसमें ग्रामेटिकल कंपोनेंट में आप शुरू करते हैं फोनेटिक्स से, फोनेटिक्स, देन मॉर्फोलॉजी, देन सिंटैक्स, उसका वाक्य का सिंटैक्स, और देन सेमेंटिक्स। तो जब आप सेमेंटिक्स का जो रोल प्ले होता है वो होता है नव्य न्याय आधारित तर्क और को भी कंप्यूट किया जाए, न्याय और वैशेषिक, वो सेमेंटिक कंपोनेंट को कोड करने में यूजफुल हो सकते हैं। वेरएस जो फोनेटिक पार्ट है, मॉर्फोलॉजिकल पार्ट है और सिंटैक्टिक पार्ट है, वो दैट कम्स इनटू द परव्यू ऑफ ग्रामर, एंड दिस comes into the semantics, comes into the purview of knowledge. So for encoding knowledge, the help of न्याय बेस्ड अप्रोचेस एंड मीमांसा बेस्ड इंटरप्रिटेशन और हेर्मेनेटिक अप्रोचेस कैन बी टेकन। सो जब ऐसा किया जाए और उसके आधार जिस लॉजिक को और मीनिंग को और इंटरप्रिटेशन को, बिकॉज इंटरप्रिटेशन इज आल्सो वेरी फ्रॉम द स्टार्टिंग ऑफ निरुक्त, निरुक्त से लेकर के देन मीमांसा के जो टेक्स्ट हुए और न्याय के टेक्स्ट हुए, जिसमें और जो न्याय का जो डिबेट चला 1000 साल तक बुद्धिस्ट के साथ, ब्लडलेस डिबेट चला, और उसके बाद में finally they were able to assert their their techniques and also what their intended meaning was। वो जब डिबेट चला उसके बाद में उसका resultantly what happened, that a very unambiguous way to interpret things and to deduct anything इट वॉज डेवलप्ड। एक ऐसी पद्धति, एक ऐसी मेथोलॉजी डेवलप हुई जिससे कि पूरी तरीके से अनएम्बिगुअसली नॉलेज को रिप्रेजेंट किया जा सका मीमांसा एंड न्याय के थ्रू। सो ऐसा कर दिया जाए तो संस्कृत मशीन में ज्ञान निरूपण का माध्यम बन जाएगी, इफ इट इज कोडेड इन द लैंग्वेज ऑफ कंप्यूटर एंड थ्रू कोड्स आल्सो एंड थ्रू लार्ज अमाउंट ऑफ डेटा आल्सो। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। These are the next things related to क्या संस्कृत कंप्यूटर के लिए उपयोगी हो सकती है। So input output software, so this slides can be skipped also। शास्त्रों की टीकाएं, टेक्स्ट इंटरप्रिटेशन, ऑप्टिकल हैंडराइटिंग रिकॉग्निशन, this can be used to for the betterment of संस्कृत एंड अदर इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस। जो डेटा की हमें आवश्यकता पड़ेगी उन डेटा को कैसे हम लोग को डिजिटाइज करेंगे, इनपुट आउटपुट सॉफ्टवेयर के थ्रू, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक स्टोरेज एक्सेस के थ्रू, कोष निर्माण के थ्रू, सर्च इंजन के थ्रू, अनुक्रमणियों के थ्रू। यहाँ जो कंप्यूटर्स का जो वो है कि आप किसी को एक रिपोजिटरी बना सकते हैं, रिजर्वायर बना सकते हैं, फास्ट कंप्यूट कर सकते हैं। सो कंप्यूटर विल बी हेल्पफुल फॉर इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस आल्सो, नॉट जस्ट इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस इज हेल्पफुल फॉर कंप्यूटर्स एंड सिस्टम्स। ऑप्टिकल हैंडराइटिंग रिकॉग्निशन से आप हैंड रिटन टेक्स्ट और जो मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट के लिए आप ऑप्टिकल कैरेक्टर रिकॉग्निशन ओसीआरस आप डेवलप कर सकते हैं, उसके थ्रू भी आप मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स को कोड कर सकते हैं। उससे आपका रियल नॉलेज भी बढ़ेगा एंड एवरीथिंग विल बी कनेक्टेड, देन इट विल गो टू एक्सपर्ट सिस्टम्स एंड एवरीथिंग एंड इन्फ्रेंस इंजन्स, हर चीज में इस चीज का उपयोग होगा। देन शास्त्रों की टीकाएं, टेक्स्ट इंटरप्रिटेशन, देन आप टेक्स्ट समराइजर एंड टेक्स्ट इंटरप्रेटर भी बना सकते हैं अपनी अपनी लैंग्वेजेस के लिए। ये सारा यदि कार्य हो जाए, computer Sanskrit शिक्षण is also Sanskrit and other Indian languages teaching is also possible. Next, please. PO stagger can be made. Morph analyzers can be made. Automatic speech recognition. Speech recognition can be done automatic, which after the proper uses of systems. Then the part Sanksiptikarak, text summarizers, then cross-lingual information access. It can also be become possible. Then automatic localization, then named entity recognizer, किसी भी आपको named entity चाहिए, that computer can also do for example रामायण और महाभारत, आप यदि किसी large text में से names को आप लेना चाहते हैं, so it will do it for you rather than doing manually. Next please. क्या संस्कृत के लिए कंप्यूटर उपयोगी हो सकता है? संस्कृत इंडियन लैंग्वेज मशीन ट्रांसलेशन सिस्टम बन सकते हैं। उसके लिए सबसे पहले संस्कृत विश्लेषक, Then Indian language generator, parser and generator both will be needed. संस्कृत अन्य भाषा संगणकीय कोश निर्माण, संस्कृत से other language computer कोश computer dictionary making can also be done. It is required to be done. Next please. उद्देश्य क्या संस्कृत भारतीय भाषा कंप्यूटिंग में सहायक हो सकती है. So Emmanuel in his paper he says that India is a linguistic area. He perceives India as a linguistic area. संगणकीय भाषा विज्ञान का अध्ययन और प्रशिक्षण और नई पीढ़ी को सांस्कृतिक विरासत नए रूप में और माध्यम में देना, ये सारे हमारे उद्देश्य हैं. संस्कृत और परंपरा का शिक्षण कंप्यूटर के माध्यम से, और संस्कृत से मेरा तात्पर्य यहाँ पर सारी भारतीय भाषाएं हैं, और संस्कृत से अन्य सभी भारतीय भाषाओं में मशीन अनुवाद, जैसे एक प्रयास हुआ था आंग्ल भारतीय का भारतीय भाषाओं में मशीनी अनुवाद का, उसका भी हम एग्जाम्पल अभी बाद में लेंगे. एंड वी विल ऑल्सो डिस्कस इट शॉर्ट फॉल्स. नेक्स्ट प्लीज. So these are the some of the researches which have already done. ये सारा काम हो चुका है. So when we start to make this interlingua, we will not start from the scratch. We will start from these works and we will benefit from all these works. Sanskrit Vichhed, Santi Vichhed was done in MPhil. Subant was in MPhil. Then Vishleshan in MPhil. Sanskrit tagging, then Vishleshan, Karak Vishleshan, case marker analysis, then link Vishleshan, gender analysis, then Padyan, POS tagging. So MPhils and PhDs are done at my center from where I have done my research. Next please. Then Sanskrit generation, Sandhi generation. You give two words to the system, just like him and alay. It gives you the compound word Himalaya. So it was and in all the sandhis and all the subtleties and things. Okay, it is not 100% perfect system. The sandhi, subant and tingan, but still it gives us comprehensible results. So this is an example of Sanskrit generation work done at our center. Next please. Then Sanskrit search engine, Mahabharata indexing was done in MPhil, and Ashtadhyayi search engine was also done. You search any of, for suppose, and this Nirukta indexing was done by me, and Mahabharata indexing was done by Dr. Divakar Mani. And just like we take an example of Nirukta, for example, we need indexing is very, how indexing is important. I need to know how many times the word go, Gai, or word Prithvi is used in Nirukta. So the first option is that I go to each and every page and underline and then note it down, or I just make one time system and then just I search the key, give the system a keyword go, and it gives me all the list of lexicon which is Nigantu and their interpretations which are given in Niruk. Gives me, so it gives me lexiconal as well, and Niruk the uh, and I'm now just reiterating my position that if we localize it to all other Indian languages, and if also we use also we take advantage of technology, so it gives us not just lexicon but its meaning also. So this is where the knowledge tradition of Sanskrit comes into fore. It gives us advantages of lexicons also, grammar also, and also their interpretation is also there in Nirukta. So grammar, interpretation. So linguistic structure and real world knowledge. Both the things are present from the ancient times. The parampara is from ancient time to till today. So the meaning which has evolved from the ancient Indian history till date, it can be comprehended in its right context. And optimal meaning can be carved out or dug out from the systems. If the systems are actually trained to do by taking any interlingua, uh, you can propose any other interlingua also from either Sanskrit or any other interlingua. By taking it, we can easily process this thing and make a very intelligent system. Next, please. Then कोश data आधारित कार्य, बहुभाषी अमर कोश. This work was also done. Multilingual Amar Kosh. Then software localization also. It was funded by CDEC Pune. So Amar Kosh, and now we are working on this to linking this all this Kosh, Mahabharat Kosh and other Kosh and this all dictionaries to each other. Dynamic search. For example, I need to जैसे मैं गो का मैं एग्जांपल देता हूँ. I give the system input of go, so it will not just give results. It is dynamically cross linked, so it will give me results from Nirukta, from Mahabharat, from Amar Kosh to Nigantu Kosh to this Ayurveda search also, to this Halayut Kosh also. to Alayut Kosh, and each whole lot of koshas. So then, if we make an intelligent system, this dynamically cross referencing is done, we will be able to acquire the right or optimal amount of input from this system. Then we will start from this work already done, which has already been done. So, and then we will move forward from here. Next, please. In Sanskrit Dwara, Hastalekh Abhigyan, it is also going on through Microsoft Corporation funding. Indian language tagging is also going on through Microsoft Research India funding, Sanskrit India Machine Translation, DIT, E-Learning Multimedia, DIT. Next, please. And how it is more beneficial, because Sanskrit is maybe helpful for the technical development for other Indian languages, and artificial intelligence also. Sanskrit is very pertinent language. We have already discussed. Next, please. Important works as have been done in this area. IIT Madras have been doing speech. Professor Hema Murthy. We will also discuss in a bit further slides. IIT Delhi is working on OCR in the leadership of Professor Shantanu Chaudhary. IIC Bengaluru online handwriting recognition. JNU Linguistic Technology Resources Tools in the as Professor Girishnath Jha as consortium leader. CDEC, Triple IT IIT Hyderabad, and Triple IT M, and IIT Bombay has worked on MT and WordNets. Okay, this works have already been done in the case of IIT Bombay has done very nice work in the case of Sanskrit WordNet. So this work has already been done. We move towards next slide. Okay, so TDI, Technological Development for Indian Language. This Government of India funded projects English to Indian Languages Machine Translation System by CDEC Pune, English to Indian Languages Machine Translation System with Angla Bharati Technology uh, by IIT Kanpur. We will also discuss further Angla Bharati Technology, which uses the Interlingua based approach for Indian language, for English to Indian language. As the name suggests, Angla Bharati, English to Indian languages MT system. It was first proposed by Professor R.M.K. Sinha. And Indian language to Indian language machine translation systems ILMT by Triple IT Hyderabad, and Sanskrit Hindi machine translation system by University of Hyderabad and JNU, and Sanskrit English machine translation system by the speaker through the funding of UGC and by the technical support of Microsoft. Data was prepared by me only. Next, please. Then current research, what is going on? Bhashani, the government of India's Bhasha interface for India. Bhashani National Language Translation Mission, India's AI-led language platform is there. Will enable massive citizen engagement to build multilingual datasets through a crowdsourcing initiative called Bhashartha. Next, please. So the objective of Bhashani or NLTM is building a high quality speech to speech machine translation system for major Indian languages. I think the speech part is done by many institutions, but IIT Madras is currently taking the lead by 12 annexures, and 12 annexures are there, and they have further distributed it. I will further discuss it in the coming slides. So speech to speech, because India has always been not a written word based civilization. We have always been a spoken civilization, or the oral tradition, right from the Vedas to till now. We this the chat and all these things, this written word or the letter or alphabet, it is more preferred by the Western civilization. Indian civilization is preferred. So taking this into account, the government of India has targeted to build a speech-to-speech translation system, creating and nurturing an and also an ecosystem involving startups and central and state government institution and academia to develop and innovative products in Indian languages and increasing content in Indian languages on internet in many of these knowledge domains. Next, please. These are the uh, and then this is the structure of their NLTM. So all computer scientists present here, they must be knowing all these things. Need not to explain it to them. Next, please. It was taken by a presentation which was presented by a National E-Governance Division at a Amrit Mahotsav Mela. It was presented by the Ministry, the National E-Governance Division of the Ministry of Electronics and IT, and the NLTM part, which is and the Interlingua part, which is currently being researched by IIT Bombay. So and the its target is develop a suitable interlingua schema that can encode morphosyntactic. We have already talked about that. Semantic and pragmatic information present in source language sentences to a suitable structured schema, facilitating the sentence translation to a variety of target languages with Hindi, Kannada, and Sanskrit. Right now, they have just taken Hindi, Kannada, and Sanskrit as their use cases. Okay, so they will just try to make an interlingua. They have not decided the interlingua yet, but they will just try to translate in these three languages using that interlingua. Next, please. So first language is interlingua. Second is API. Develop and deploy API-based solutions, applications, and web-based services based on the translation technology developed in this project. Next, please. So still they are undecided on the nature of interlingua. It is still under research. Develop and deploy post hoc analysis means after the collection of data based explainers and tools aimed at language learners for pedagogical purposes. So language learning is for pedagogical purposes as a use case in the educational. Next, please. And the last one is obviously NMT, neural machine translation, to develop a neural encoder decoder model, neural module networks, and distillation based model. And it intends to develop and deploy end to end encoder decoder models for translation during the interlingua, models for refining the interlingua. You need to define the interlingua, as we have already talked in the system, that the various subtleties and the variances need to be taken care of, because there can be n number of n number of combinations of languages, and then translating it to target language, and finally for distillation of large language models. Next, please. Okay, the projects initially, what were the projects which were already the work which has already being done in the case of Sanskrit as an interlingua. The first work which I came to fore, no, no, please. The first work which came into fore to my fore was Sanskrit-based knowledge representation builder for machine translation. It was an MTech dissertation at IIT Roorkee by Mr. Vipul Chandra in 1991, very early. In Sanskrit English Statistical MT at Microsoft Hub by myself. Then Mighty funded Sanskrit Interlingua project. A small project is running at IIT Kharagpur. And Angla Bharati, this Angla Bharati used Interlingua. It uses pseudo lingua for Indian languages, which can be called PLIL, pseudo language for Indian languages based MT. And and because of many reasons, it that many approaches that statistical data was very low, tools were not encoded, technology was very not much advanced. Because of this project was a very path breaker, but it couldn't go farther, and it couldn't become an intelligent system because of the inherent limitations. Then Sanskrit as an interlingua by S. Chand. This paper was published in Springer volume, Electrical Engineering, something like that, in 2017. It was not available. It was on the internet freely. So I read the abstract. And then NLTM, interlingua guided NMT among Indian languages. So it is still interlingua guided NMT among Indian languages. It has to be interlingua guided NMT, NLTM, and the institutions implementing this interlingua, they have already decided. But Sanskrit has to be the interlingua or not? It's still the question. They have still not decided. It is still a pilot. Next, please. Then NLT. First one was National Language Translation Mission. Second one is National Language Technology Mission at IIT Madras. So they are working on speech technologies in Indian languages, and they are developing 12 annexures. So these 12 annexures will be, I just want to read it to you. First annexure will be ASR and TTS. Second is audio visual processing. Third one is voice search engine. Fourth one is speaker desiration system for a multilingual setup for Indian languages. Fifth one is integration and development of scalable speaker recognition technology in application. Then spoken language identification is the seventh. ASR for extremely low resource Indic languages is the eighth. And annexure ninth is end-to-end spoken keyword detection system in 9 Indian languages and its application in healthcare information dissemination. And Annexure 10 is prosody modeling. Annexure 11th is assistive speech technologies. And Annexure 12 is speech quality control for all the data collected. So it is done by various IITs, CDEX, Indian Institute of Sciences, and NITs. This 12 annexures. So this work is done, but still it is silent upon using Sanskrit as an interlingua. They are working. IIT Madras is working on various speech-based technology, whatever Interlingua is used, will be used. Next. So, to enhance the world knowledge, the digital manuscript library, these are some suggestions. भविष्य के लिए सुझाव हैं. Digital library of heritage text, digital library of multimodal text, just like speeches and videos, making expert systems, computer visions for performance of you take recording, and then you try to comprehend, you try to teach this RUS and meters and all the things to the computers. This is a obviously matter of very further research. Performance of nataks, you encode them, you record them, and then you process them according to the knowledge, according to the rules or the premises you already have, you facts you already have. Then Vedic ritual performances, what is their meanings? The performance of Yajurveda, for the example, which have very many rituals and very gestures are very much involved. Then Vedic part tradition, which through which the Sanskrit mantras or the hymns were protected from for hundreds of centuries just through reciting and remembering in through 8 different ways. So in one just 8 parts were there: Jata part, Jata, Mala, Shikha, Rekha, Ghan part. These 8 parts were there. So because of these 8 parts, means different difference of recitation, अलग अलग टाइप से रेसिटेशन की वजह से, बिकॉज एक बार गलती हो सकती है 2 बार दोहराने में, लेकिन एक ही बात को यदि एक ही बात को मैं 8 बार कहता हूँ अलग अलग मैकेनिज्म से, तो उस केस में द लॉस and ambiguity and errors, the possibility of loss, ambiguity and error is very much washed out and wiped out. So digital mapping of yatras can be done. Digital resources of Ayurveda text, practices and tradition. This is an suggestion for a very big and large meta system. Next, please. It can take many years of research, decades of research. Next, please. Multimedia presentation of popular epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, for Panchatantra, other Giti Kavya and Mahakavya Nataks, animation based stories of this multimedia presentations, and then computationally testing them, and also teaching computers. So this is going to be a handshake and two-way traffic. Computers will be learning from the knowledge in this the knowledge encoded in this all these strategies, and these strategies will take the benefit of technology in future, and educational technology resources and teaching learning methods. And as John McCarthy has said, programs which can translate natural language text into collection of sentences in mathematical logical language, and then a combination of Vyakran, Nyaya and Mimamsa with AI oblique computational linguistics would yield positive results. Next, please. So these are some readings: Language and Mind by Chomsky, Oxford and Book of Computational Linguistics. The first thing to go with: Speech and NLP, Yurovsky and Martin, Sanskrit Computational Linguistics, released by Springer, as Girish Nath Jha, my supervisor, as the editor. Then Conceptual Structures, Information Processing in Mind and Machine. So these are some suggested readings, and through this we conclude this presentation. And slide, please. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So through this, I just tried to cater to a very vast and very complex type of structure, and what that is compute, because uh, being a being a front runner, being a herald in computer science is difficult. Being a front runner in technology is difficult. Being a front runner in linguistics and language, knowing this all language is difficult. And then creating a junction and being a front runner and a herald in computer science and linguistics, because NLP is a conjunction point of computer science and linguistics and literature and world knowledge and Vedas and everything comes, especially in the case of Indian languages, because India is a vast, has a already been taught as already been told as a linguistic region, and the whole amount of variations which we linguists come across on the day-to-day basis, and our limited knowledge is challenged on the day-to-day basis by the subtleties of all the languages, especially the languages of northeast eastern India. and the tribal languages. They are challenging our conventional wisdom about that. And the more about we know about all the languages, uh, just like languages of Sri Lanka, languages of Lithuania, we know how proximal to they are to Indian languages and Sanskrit. So this is a constant evolving process is going on. If we make a team of computer scientists, computer science faculties, uh, linguistics faculties, and students, so we can hopefully make it possible. Thank you so much. Thank you. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Suni. It was a wonderful speech, and definitely, it's as you said, it's a challenging task of combining the domain of computer science, the Sanskrit, and the different languages. But the presentation it was very much informative, and I'm sure all the participants, because most of our participants are from computer science and from the Sanskrit and the languages, so I'm sure it will be definitely helpful for all of them. Me coming from the computer science language, I could understand whatever the technical side, and how much you explained about this computing languages, its journey from the encryption till the data mining, big data, and all those, and the knowledge representation, then the intelligent computing and all, and especially Panini grammar and all those. Actually, I was not aware of those things. So it's really, I think there is a large possibility of merging these two domains, and we can do it in future, because some of our researchers are also working on NLP, as you said, and we can definitely work on this, and we can look forward for the making Sanskrit as an interface for the computer science and the language translation. And Now coming back to the audience, if anybody has any question, now it's open for the questions. Any questions from your side, please? Any questions from the audience? Mr. Baldev Ram has a question. Sir, you can continue. You can ask the question.
चित्रेश जी राम राम।
हाँ, नमस्कार जी। प्लीज आप अपना प्रश्न पूछ सकते हैं जी। नमस्कार।
मेरा प्रश्न ये है कि जो भारतीय भाषाएं हैं संविधान में 22, उनके अलावा जो वो मतलब लेस रिसोर्स वाली जो लैंग्वेजेज है, उनके लिए कैसे मतलब क्या प्रयास करना चाहिए, क्या है लेस रिसोर्स लैंग्वेज, हाउ टू कंप्यूटराइज देम?
बहुत अच्छा प्रश्न पूछा आपने। वेरी वेरी नाइस क्वेश्चन। भारत के संविधान की 8वीं अनुसूची में, जैसा कि आप सभी जानते हैं, कि 22 भाषाओं का उल्लेख है। उसके बाद में, उसके उपरांत 99 ऐसी अनशेड्यूल्ड लैंग्वेजेस भी, 2011 का जो सेंसस था उसमें 99 अनशेड्यूल्ड लैंग्वेजेस का भी उल्लेख है। 22 शेड्यूल्ड लैंग्वेजेस है हमारी, 99 अनशेड्यूल्ड लैंग्वेजेस। उसके अलावा 274 लैंग्वेजेस ऐसी बार बताई गई है सेंसस में, 274 लैंग्वेजेस, जिनके स्पीकर इंडिया में 10,000 से ज्यादा है, मोर देन 10,000 स्पीकर्स। ओके, जिनका जिनका डिजिटल फुटप्रिंट अभी कोई नहीं है। सो यदि आप ये सोचें कि आप सभी के लिए पैरेलल डेटा बना करके ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ डेटा, जैसा कि इंग्लिश और स्पेनिश जर्मन केस में होता है, कि आप ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ डेटा बनाएंगे और उससे आप सिस्टम्स को डेवलप कर लेंगे, जैसा कि वेस्ट में होता है। सो वो दैट इज नॉट पॉसिबल। तो फर्स्ट इसका एक जो तरीका हमने सुझाया, हम सुझाना चाह रहे थे कि संस्कृत को आप ऐसे इंटरलिंगुआ यूज कर लीजिए। और क्योंकि जब आप किसी इंडियन लैंग्वेज को, संस्कृत या किसी अन्य इंटर लैंग्वेज, किसी भी इंडियन लैंग्वेज हो सकती है, किसी भी एक इंडियन लैंग्वेज को इंटरचेंजेबल लैंग्वेज या इंटरलिंगुआ के रूप में यूज करेंगे, तो बहुत कम डेटा से, बिकॉज उनकी जो प्रोक्सिमिटी है, उनका जो इवोल्यूशन है ऊपर से लेकर ट्री से लेकर, को सुनाइए। आप प्लीज अपना माइक म्यूट कर ले जी। तो उनका जो हिस्टोरिकल इवोल्यूशन है, जो धारा है, जो हिमालय से चल करके जैसे एक नदी की तरह है सारी भाषाएं, जो एक हिमालय से चल के जैसे सारी दिशाओं में सारी नदियां जाती है और बाद में एक ही सागर में मिल जाती है, वैसी सारी भारतीय भाषाएं हैं, एक ही स्रोत से निकली हैं और अलग अलग दिशाओं में डाइवर्ज होकर के, जोग्राफिकल रीजन से, पॉलिटिकल रीजन से, और भी रीजन से, और जो अपने एक दूसरे से दूर होती गई। इसी कारण से और समाज का जो भारत का वृहद आकार है उसके कारण एक दूसरे से दूर हो गई। लेकिन आप जब देखेंगे सभी भाषाओं में एक एकात्मकता विद्यमान है। यदि आप नॉर्थ ईस्ट का व्यक्ति भी गुजरात में जाएगा तो उसको ऐसा नहीं लगेगा आंखें बंद करके आप सुबह उसकी नींद खुले, आप यदि उसे प्लेन में डालकर कैसे भी उसे आप सुबह यहाँ पर छोड़ दें तो उसे लगेगा मैं उसी देश में हूँ, ये मेरा ही भाषा भाषी देश है। चाहे इनकी भाषा कुछ विभिन्न हो सकती है परंतु एक ही ट्रेडिशन है। तो जो वो ग्रामेटिकल एक रूपता और नॉलेज की एक रूपता है और जो शब्दों की एक रूपता है और चैतन्य की भी एक रूपता है अप टू द लेवल ऑफ कॉन्शियस। तो आप किसी एक इंडियन लैंग्वेज को ले लें और उस लेस रिसोर्स लैंग्वेज से एक नोवेल मैकेनिज्म बना लें। और आज के समय में वेरियस नोवेल मैकेनिज्म्स आर कमिंग, काफी सारे एल्गोरिदम है। सो लैंग्वेज इंडिपेंडेंट भी हो सकता है वो एल्गोरिदम या वो जो अप्रोच है, और वो लैंग्वेज डिपेंडेंट भी हो सकता है कि आप पर्टिकुलर फॉर एग्जांपल असमीज टू संस्कृत भी बना सकते हैं या सारी इंडियन लैंग्वेज टू संस्कृत एक लैंग्वेज इंडिपेंडेंट या उनको या दूसरा तरीका ये हो सकता है। तीसरा तरीका ये हो सकता है कि आप कैटेगराइज कर लें कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लिए एक अलग से इंटरलिंगुआ, नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लिए एक अलग अप्रोच, थोड़ा अलग डेटा, उसके लिए कॉमन, उसको आप संस्कृत से कनेक्ट करें। साउथ इंडियन लैंग्वेज के लिए एक अलग अप्रोच, कैटेगरी विद इन ए कैटेगरी। आप ऐसे ऐसे भी कर सकते हैं। और लेस रिसोर्स लैंग्वेजेस को इंटेलिजेंटली अच्छी और संस्कृत ग्रामर का यूज करते हुए और उनके जो कॉमन फीचर्स हैं इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस और उनका आप बेनिफिट उठा करके सारी लेस रिसोर्स लैंग्वेज को कंपैरेटिवली मोर रिसोर्स लैंग्वेजेस टू हिंदी विच इज इसका डेटा आजकल अबंडेंस में है, टू इंग्लिश एंड देन टू ऑल इस स्ट्रेटिफाइड मैनर में आप इसको ग्लोबल लैंग्वेजेस से कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं। ऐसा मेरा मानना
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपको और अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन दिया आपने।
है। जी
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। थैंक यू।
So we have our colleague Dr. R.K. Biswal. So Professor Biswal has a question for you, Dr. Soni. It's over to you, Dr. Biswal.
Thank you, madam. Uh, First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Soni for such an enlightening session. And I have learned many things from this session, and I am equally interested in language. Uh, Primarily, I belong to psychology, but my interest is in also literature. Currently, I, along with my wife, we are working on some of the Odia language things, and we're looking for translation. But the translation that we're getting from Google is not correct. Further, I worked with some of the texts, those PDFs, to convert them to OCR, but 90% or more than 90% were not correct. I would like to contribute to the language repertory of Odia since the ancient, from the ancient text till date. How can I make use of this kind of knowledge to help the Odia language to grow? And I would also like to see that now Google search engine has some languages in its homepage, some Indian languages. Why not other languages have come up by now? If we can do something, is there any scope for Odia language too? Dr. Soni.
Yes, okay. So, what I understood from your what you said, what the points you raised, that you want to contribute, you want to see Indian languages to the at the forefront of technological revolution which is happening in India, and without technical revolution, and which is going to be at the forefront of industrial revolution 4.0, and then making India a global superpower. So this is not possible by, so I concur with your point, and this is not possible without taking all our languages with us. If we leave other languages behind, we leave that community behind. We okay for the case of Odia. So two three things must be very clear. That first thing is that we need to create ecosystem. Ecosystem is very much important, and means why any researcher or any project, suppose OpenAI project or Google or this Tesla or these things happen in USA, because it is not, this doesn't mean that US citizens are very much intelligent. We in India means don't want to criticize anything, but sometimes it is difficult to make things happen here. If we, but the positive point is, we, if we can make things happen here, we can make happen things anywhere else in the world. But we need to come together. We need to work in a very synchronized and synthesized manner, and that, and we should make sure that the duplication of efforts must not happen, which is currently happening sometimes, because government of India is working on Bhashani, and some parallel other systems have also come up, and many things are coming. So there should be a one umbrella under which we should work, and the most important thing is to motivate the next generation of students to do the work, because faculty members have their faculty members, and who are working currently, they have a limitation to work. The PhD students, MPhil students, and project guys or and girls, they should be encouraged, because the PhDs, the more amount of PhDs, the amount of PhDs you produce is the amount of research, and the amount of the length of path you cover are in going towards this digital revolution. So motivating students is very important, and working tirelessly without wasting any moment, and to take India forward in this digital revolution, industrial revolution, and become, make India a global superpower, while not forgetting the essence of our tradition, and to read vehemently, and widely and voraciously, and furiously, in the terms of Chomsky. You also need to read furiously
Yeah,
sometime.
yeah.
So, and we should
No, I
collaborate, and we should work tirelessly for the next 20, 30 years. Then we can see, then we can look back and possibly have satisfaction that we have done some work. I would also I would also like to confess one thing, that because means I wanted to make this presentation very much simpler, and very much means cutting ice type of presentation, but I couldn't visit any of the libraries because of last 2 months I was bedridden, so because of an injury. So I couldn't visit any of the libraries. So what I managed through all the resources which were already with me. So but still, and it was a very a moment of now for me, for to speak in all the great computer scientists who have already established in their stalwarts in their field. But I just tried to put very little knowledge which was given to my guru, and which I acquired in my journey. And but I can commit that in future I will work tirelessly with all. If any of the person comes and we make a team, we can take students along, which is very much important. Without taking students along, it is not possible. We need to have a
no,
large team,
I
we need to
agree.
have a large
I
group.
agree. This is
Individual
important.
person,
Yes.
individual person, in the case of this very tedious, it is a very tedious task. So one person or one department or one university is not able to do that, not even, not in
Absolutely.
the
That's true.
next 50 years.
That's true.
Thank you.
And in
Absolutely.
fact, the research that we have been doing in our country, like it's research by one single man, and this team effort is not there, as well as guidance. What kind of research we should look for? Those kind of guidance is not available. Thankfully, recently ICSSR has started something in that direction, that these are the areas you work on, these areas, because there you can uh, actually help in policy development. Similarly, this language thing can also take a step, maybe in another 10 to 20 years that we are thinking. Thank you very much, Dr. Soni, for your clarifications.
Thank you. A
Thank you,
committed,
Dr. Biswal.
yes, a committed
Yeah, so
and sincere group of people is needed.
definitely, definitely. We'll look forward for the collaboration to work in this direction, Dr. Soni. So we have one more question from Dr. Brijesh Nehra. Dr. Mehra, please. It's over to you.
नमो नमः। मैं ब्रिजेश यहाँ सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी से डॉक्टर देवेंद्र सिंह राजपूत के अंडर में पीएचडी कर रहा हूँ मैम। और मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जैसा कि पाणिनि व्याकरण का एक स्ट्रक्चर है वो बहुत अच्छे से है, तो हम उसको कोडिंग में किस तरह से हमारे लिए वो बेनिफिशियल हो सकता है?
I think there is there is the answer should come from the audience. I know one person who has worked on his PhD on the mathematical model of Panini. He is Mr. Baldev, Dr. Baldev Ram himself. So can you, Dr. Baldev Ram, can you please? I would like, because I think he is more expert in this field to mathematically model. His PhD is on that particular topic. If he is online, otherwise I will answer. बलदेव जी,
चित्रेश जी एक बार वापस रिपीट करना।
बलदेव जी, प्रश्न ये है, डॉक्टर बलदेव जी, प्रश्न ये है कि पाणिनि की जो अष्टाध्यायी है उसको कैसे मैथमेटिकली, उसको कैसे कंप्यूटेशनली मॉडल बनाया जा सकता है उसका। सो आई जस्ट डाइवर्टेड दैट मिसाइल टुवर्ड्स यू बिकॉज यू आर ए पीएचडी इन दैट सब्जेक्ट। आपका पीएचडी इसी टॉपिक पे है।
जी जी।
आई विल ऑल्सो गिव माई कंक्लूडिंग रिमार्क्स। तो आपने जो काम किया है
उसमें यह है कि जो स्ट्रक्चर का जो संरचना है ना अष्टाध्यायी की, उसका अध्ययन करना है। ग्रंथ किस दो प्रकार से होता है, एक तो ग्रंथ का मेटेरियल होता है और दूसरी चीज होती है उसकी संरचना कि वो कैसे है। तो अष्टाध्यायी का जो ऑर्डर है ना, सूत्र पाठ का जो ऑर्डर है वो अपने आप में एक प्रोग्राम की तरह है। तो उसको मॉडल बना सकते हैं हम एज ए कंप्यूटर प्रोग्रामिंग। और उसमें जो भी तकनीक अपनाई गई है, चाहे वो प्रत्यार को लेके है या अधिकार अनुवर्ती आदि, तो ये जो सारी तकनीकी है वो सारी की सारी प्रोग्रामिंग की तरह है। तो हम प्रोग्रामिंग कैसे करें अन्य भाषाओं की, या संस्कृत को इंक्लूड करते हुए अन्य भाषाओं की प्रोग्रामिंग कैसे करें, उनका प्रोग्रामिंग स्ट्रक्चर डेटा कैसे तैयार करें, ये अष्टाध्यायी हमें सिखाती है।
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I will also I would also like to add something to it. Brajesh ji, I am audible. Am I audible to you? मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
जी आ रही है सर।
देखिए संस्कृत को इंटरलिंगुआ और या पाणिनि व्याकरण को कंप्यूट करने के लिए दो तीन तरह से प्रयास हम लोग कर सकते हैं। कई सारी उपयोगिताएं हैं पाणिनि की ग्रामर की। डॉक्टर बलदेव, कैन यू प्लीज अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ? आप म्यूट कर लेंगे जी। तो दो तीन तरीके से उपयोगिता हो सकती है। एक अन्य भाषाओं के लिए ग्रामर मॉड्यूल बनाना, एक संस्कृत के लिए मॉड्यूल बनाना, एक संस्कृत को इंटरलिंगुआ बनाने के लिए पाणिनि ग्रामर का यूज करना, और एक जो चौथा है वो ये कि संस्कृत को इटसेल्फ जस्ट लाइक जावा एंड जेएसपी, संस्कृत को एक कोडिंग लैंग्वेज जिसमें आप कोड कर सकें, उसका कंपाइलर आप पूरा तैयार कर सकें, जो मशीन लैंग्वेज के साथ इंटरेक्ट करता है वो आप बना सकते हैं। सो एंड आई नो सम पीपल, ये मैं कुछ लोगों को जानता हूँ, नो सम पीपल हु आर वर्किंग इन दिस डोमेन, वांट टू मेक दिस हैपन। कॉर्पोरेट्स आल्सो आर डूइंग इट, एंड इसको आप कई तरीके से कर सकते हैं। बट टू माय अंडरस्टैंडिंग मेकिंग अ रूल बेस्ड mechanism, because here statistical approaches and AI based approaches, and because Sanskrit Panini's Ashtadhyayi, Sanskrit grammar is an rule itself. So when you want to encode any rule, you will need rules and meta rules themselves. आपको रूल चाहिए होंगे, मेटा रूल चाहिए होंगे। ओके
जी सर, रूल तो है पाणिनि व्याकरण में, रूल और मेटा रूल तो है, लेकिन मेरा प्रश्न यही था कि कोडिंग में उसको किस तरह से हम यूज कर पाएंगे। जैसे जावा की तरह कंप्यूटर लैंग्वेज बनानी है कोडिंग के लिए, उस माध्यम में किस तरह से यूज कर पाएंगे।
अच्छा ठीक है, तो इसका मतलब आपका प्रश्न उससे रिलेटेड नहीं है कि पाणिनि के अष्टाध्यायी को कैसे रन कराएंगे सिस्टम में। एक तो ये तरीका होता है जो कि इको यंची का एग्जांपल से हमने समझा कि अगर आपको इको यंची जो संधि के रूल्स हैं, कैसे आप संधि को शिफ्ट कर रहे हैं, मधुरी का आप पूरा एग्जांपल लेते हैं तो ई उ रील री के स्थान पे य व र ल चारों आएंगे, उसका एक सूडो कोड पाणिनि ने बना रखा है। उसी सूडो कोड को आपको जावा के लॉजिक के अंदर समझा करके उसको आपको कंप्यूट कर देना है। एक तरीका ये फर्स्ट वन। आप उससे एक स्टेप ज्यादा, मैं जहां तक समझ पा रहा हूँ, आप उससे एक स्टेप ज्यादा पूछ रहे हैं। आप पूछना चाह रहे हैं कि कैसे कंप्यूटर प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज बनाई जाए। तो जो कंप्यूटर को प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज बनाने का टास्क है वो भी पॉसिबल हो सकता है, बट द थिंग इज यू नीड्स मिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर। आपको फंडिंग चाहिए होगी, आपको टीम ऑफ रिसर्चर चाहिए होगी, नीड टू वर्क फॉर 5 to 7 years। जैसे प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज बनती है और उसके जो लॉजिक होते हैं, उसके जो वेरिएबल्स होते हैं, तो वैसे ही आपको पहले उसके जो अल्फाबेट्स होंगे, पहले आपको स्क्रिप्ट डिसाइड करनी होगी, फिर आपको उसके स्ट्रिंग्स डिसाइड करने होंगे, उसके लॉजिक्स डिसाइड करने होंगे, वेरिएबल डिसाइड करने होंगे, और जिस लॉजिक से एक प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज मशीन लैंग्वेज के साथ इंटरेक्ट करती है, यूजिंग एन एग्जांपल ऑफ संस्कृत एंड यूजिंग द नॉलेज ऑफ पाणिनियन ग्रामर एंड अदर ग्रामेरियंस, वो सारा यूज करके, और जो अदर ग्रामेरियंस ने कहा है, और उसके साथ में आज जो नया रियल वर्ल्ड नॉलेज है, जो भी एक्सपांशन हुआ है, उसको यूज करके, जैसे कि दूसरी लैंग्वेजेस में हम करते हैं, उसी तरीके से हम आप उसको इंटेलिजेंटली उसको किया जा सकता है। इट इज वेरी मच पॉसिबल टास्क। ओके, देयर इज ए प्रोजेक्ट ऑलरेडी गोइंग ऑन, बट दैट इस पे काम चल रहा है, बट द मींस जो इसको प्रोजेक्ट को जो फंड कर रहे हैं, द whoever person, he has requested us to keep his identity, he doesn't want to disclose his identity। वो अपनी आइडेंटिटी बताना नहीं चाहते हैं, जो भी करना चाह रहा है। some people are doing a very means noble task without revealing themselves। it is already going on।
Yeah, I think your question is answered, Brijesh.
जी मैम।
ठीक है, thank you, thank you. Is there any other question from anybody?
Ma'am, we have one question in the chat box.
Okay, okay. So it's a question from Satyam Soni.
Read this, okay? Can
Yeah,
I
thank
just
you
read
for
this?
the.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, it's you.
As
just
per
read
my
it.
own experience, knowing Sanskrit, it becomes very easy to grasp regional languages. Should we not introduce Sanskrit language at an early stage of education in NEP to strengthen harmony and eradicate regional difference? Okay, that
I think
was the
Satyam
suggestion.
is our student. Satyam, yeah, you're from NIT Rourkela?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
So,
yeah, yeah. Okay.
okay, ma'am. So we are having a very very bright students at NIT, and this was the suggestion which I was looking for, that somebody suggests this, because right now what is happening in the area of research, all the research is being conducted by computer scientists who have done BTech, MTech, PhD, then afterward their postdocs from foreign universities, then come to India, their professors in IITs and NITs who don't have that much background. They have workable experience, they are learning, they are very much bright, they are very much committed, but still to grasp the subtleties of the grammar, of the lexicon, of the meaning, of the syntax, of the semantics, and all the things, this thing is very much important to introduce Sanskrit as an early stage. Every Indian should learn Sanskrit. It is a Supreme Court decision is also there, that without knowing Sanskrit, without knowing, because Sanskrit is our roots, without knowing our roots, nobody can be proud of his or her own country and civilization. So it has been already been being advised, and the benefit of this will be that जो छोटे छोटे जो भी एरर्स होते हैं, जो कई बार जो छोटे छोटे टास्क होते हैं, which sometimes present to be very daunting, it will be very easy to read out and easy to crease out। और इसको ऐसे समझ सकते हैं कि जब भी आप कोई संस्कृत का प्रोजेक्ट शुरू करेंगे, सो वो जो ग्रुप होगा, लार्ज ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल होगा, इट शुड बी एन हेट्रोजीनियस ग्रुप। आज की तारीख में इसलिए हेट्रोजीनियस होना पड़ेगा क्योंकि जो टेक्निकल नॉलेज इसके पास है, उसके पास संस्कृत का नॉलेज नहीं है, इसके पास संस्कृत का नॉलेज है, शायद अंग्रेजी का उतना नॉलेज नहीं है, अंग्रेजी का नॉलेज है तो कोर जो शास्त्रार्थ है उनका नहीं हो पाता। इसीलिए कंप्यूटर साइंटिस्ट के साथ साथ में वी नीड द स्टूडेंट्स ट्रेन फ्रॉम इन शास्त्रीय ट्रेडिशंस एंड गुरुकुल्स एज वेल। जो गुरुकुल के स्टूडेंट्स हैं, इसलिए उनकी आवश्यकता हमें पड़ेगी, आगे भी पड़ेगी, बिकॉज ऑफ जब सभी लोग यदि सीख भी लेंगे संस्कृत, हर लैंग्वेज, इफ एवरी पर्सन लर्न संस्कृत फ्रॉम स्टार्टिंग और इवन एवरी पर्सन एक्वायर सर्टिफिकेट और वर्किंग नॉलेज और प्रोफिशिएंसी, स्टिल वी विल नीड दोज पीपल हु आर वेरी मच एक्वेंटेड इन द ट्रेडिशन। बिकॉज जब आप डीप नेटवर्क्स में जाएंगे एंड जब पाणिनियन ग्रामर को आप डीपली जब इनकोड करेंगे, सो यू विल नीड दैट deeper understanding. Panini Ashtadhyayi is a machine learning of grammar itself. So you will need those people.
Yeah,
okay,
Satyam, I think your question is answered.
Okay, if any further clarification is needed, okay, I am ready to provide.
Yeah, Dr. Soni, we have one more question.
मैं डॉक्टर योगेश वर्मा गुजरात से बोल रहा हूँ।
हाँ,
नमस्कार
मैं
सर।
डॉक्टर योगेश पन्ना गुजरात से बोल रहा हूँ।
हाँ
बोलिए
नमस्कार
सर।
सर।
नमस्कार। मैं एक बात पूछना चाहता था कि जैसे मैंने भी एक स्टडी किया था बाइबल में, और बाइबल में कोट मैंने गुजराती में लिखा था, तो उसमें एआई ने मुझे रेफरेंस दिया था। क्या इस प्रकार कोई रेफरेंस मिल पाएगा? हेलो।
हाँ, आप क्या पूछना चाह रहे हैं? एआई ने आपको,
अभी
आपने बाइबल का एक कोट
मैंने बाइबल का एक कोट लिखा था गुजराती में, तो
जी
बाइबल का कोट कहाँ पर है, कैसे है, उसका रेफरेंस मुझे एआई ने दिया था। क्या इसी प्रकार अगर मैं कोई वाक्य या कोई मैं सूत्र या कोई मैं श्लोक लिखता हूँ, तो क्या एआई मुझे यहाँ कोई सपोर्ट करेगा?
जी बिल्कुल करेगा। और
हाँ
वेरी सिंपल अप्रोच है, सर्च इंजन बेस्ड अप्रोच। और जो एआई आपको क्रॉल डेटा को क्रॉल करते हैं, इंडेक्सिंग करते हैं, क्रॉल करके आपको आपको
हाँ
रिजल्ट दे सकते हैं। दैट इज पॉसिबल इन एनी इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस। जस्ट जस्ट इंडेक्सिंग रिक्वायर्ड होती है।
हाँ।
किसी भी भारतीय भाषा में वो संभव है, इंडेक्सिंग के माध्यम से, सर्चिंग के माध्यम से, क्रॉलिंग के माध्यम से।
हाँ
बस जो सिस्टम्स है दैट नीड्स टू बी इन प्लेस।
नहीं, मैं तो गुजराती में लिखता हूँ, तो गुजराती में वो बाइबल में जो इंग्लिश में कहाँ पर है, और बाइबल के 3-4 प्रकार हैं, तो उनमें से कौन से रेफरेंस होगा वो सब दिखाता है। तो क्या इस प्रकार यहाँ पर होगा संभव?
वो भी संभव हो सकता है बिल्कुल। फॉर एग्जाम्पल हम बाइबल का एक कोटेशन ले लेते हैं, आप मुझे गुजराती में अनुवाद करके बताइए। बाइबल का एक कोट है, लेट देयर बी लाइट।
या
ओके, तो लेट देयर
हाँ,
बी लाइट को गुजराती में क्या कहेंगे?
प्रकाशित हो।
प्रकाश।
प्रकाशित हो।
प्रकाश जो मुझे बात का सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है, आपने क्या कहना है? प्रकाश,
प्रकाशमय हो।
प्रकाशमय हो।
या
प्रकाशमय हो, तो प्रकाशमय हो। अब आपने जैसे ही सर्च किया,
हाँ
तो अब इसके इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस का अगर यदि इंटरलिंगुआ आपके पास है,
हाँ
तो वेरी इजीली इसका मीनिंग आप संस्कृत के थ्रू भी निकाल सकते हैं। प्रकाशमय
बराबर।
हो, सेम मीनिंग इज इन संस्कृत ऑल्सो, इन गुजराती ऑल्सो। संस्कृत के माध्यम से भी आप इसका मीनिंग निकाल सकते हैं।
हाँ
और यदि आप चाहते हैं कि मुझे संस्कृत के साथ में गुजराती का भी मुझे मीनिंग मिले, तो आप इसको क्रॉस रेफरेंस करके जो बाइबल के ट्रांसलेशन हैं,
हाँ
बट द अमाउंट ऑफ जो हार्डवेयर एंड सॉफ्टवेयर दो चीजें हैं, वो
हाँ।
बोथ द टू थिंग्स नीड टू बी इन प्लेस। जो
मान
कंप्यूटिंग
मान
पावर है
मान
वो भी
मान
चाहिए।
मानो 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 मेरे कॉलेज का एक लोगो है, मोटो है, यानो बतरा कतरावा यंत्र यशवतः। ये अगर मुझे ढूंढना है तो कहाँ पर मिलेगा? तो ये अगर मुझे ढूंढना, तो क्या रेफरेंस को देगा वो?
हाँ बिल्कुल, आपको रेफरेंस दे सकता है। और आप इसको कई तरीके से ढूंढ सकते हैं। आप इसको टाइप करके भी ढूंढ सकते हैं, आनो भद्रा क्रतवो जंतु विश्वा। आप
हाँ
इसको इसकी कोई इमेज जिसपे लिखा हुआ हो, उस इमेज
हाँ
को डालकर भी किसी आप कर सकते हैं। यदि ओसीआर मैकेनिज्म हो, आप इसको बोल करके, यदि टेक्स्ट अगर स्पीच टू टेक्स्ट हो, तो बोल करके
या
भी इसे सर्च कर सकते हैं। विद रेफरेंस वो दिखाता है। और छोटा सा एग्जांपल जो मैंने दिया था, अगर आप मैं आप इसके अंदर मैं आपको एक लिंक देता हूँ, आप जाकर के देख सकते हैं।
जरूर जरूर जरूर।
ये भाषा लिपिंतर इसमें हेल्प कर सकता है। जो स्कूल ऑफ संस्कृत लैंग्वेज जेएनयू में भारतीय भाषा लिप्यांतर बना हुआ है, ट्रांसलिटरेशन in Indian languages. Okay, you can just Dr. Yogesh, you can just email it to me because I think the internet is become slow here, and I am unable to search to find that link to you. You just email to me and I will give you. मैं आपको एक लिंक दूंगा।
जरूर
I will send you a link of निरुक्त निर्वचन। जैसे आप निरुक्त में, जैसे मैंने आपको एग्जांपल बताया, you can search any word that will give the reference of that particular lexicon and the
या
interpretation given in निरुक्त। तो निघंटु जो वैदिक शब्दों का कोश है वो, उसका और उसका जो निर्वचन है वो, और उसका जो रेफरेंस है किस किस नंबर पे, 1.1 किस अध्याय में, किस कांड के अंतर्गत है, वो सेम इन द केस ऑफ महाभारत, अमर कोश, हलायुध कोश, और जो आपका कोश है सूत्रपाठ, सारे जो क्रॉस लिंक्ड है ऑलरेडी, उसमें आपको मिल सकता है।
जरूर जरूर जरूर। थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। आपने बहुत अच्छा मुझे मार्गदर्शन किया, क्योंकि मैं बीएड कॉलेज में हूँ, और एजुकेशन कॉलेज में कभी कभी मुझे कोई लिखता हूँ, देता हूँ, तो ये रेफरेंस देने के लिए मुझे चाहिए था। तो ये इसके लिए मैंने आपको प्रश्न पूछा। बहुत मैं लाभान्वित हुआ आपसे। थैंक यू
जी,
वेरी मच।
ओके, माय ईमेल आईडी इज गिवन इन द चैट बॉक्स। यू कैन दोज हु वांट टू कांटेक्ट।
आई विल कलेक्ट।
Okay, so Dr. Devendra Singh has appreciated your lecture and the discussion, Dr. Soni. And there is a question from Mr. Anup Kumar. He says that my question is that there should be, there should need to be more simplification in school Sanskrit text as well as Sanskrit grammar. How should Sanskrit interlingua can help this in school education? I think this is similar to the question from Satyam Soni, but still you can address this question, Dr. Soni.
Okay, first one is my contention here is that simplification of Sanskrit grammar is not required. Okay, it is already simple. It is already simple, but just the teaching methodologies and the teaching mechanism and pedagogy needs to be different. And संस्कृत should not be taught in the way that इस तरह से नहीं सिखाना चाहिए. Should not be taught in the way that it is very much difficult and it is some kind of a ghost. Okay, it is very much contemporary. It is very much modern. It is Sanskrit is in fact ultra modern, and just we need to teach it in a correct way, because the Paninian grammar and already textbooks are already available. The textbook of Dr. Kapil Dev Dwivedi, which is available for 100 rupees in market, it is written on the French method of pedagogy. It is written on that way, and it is very much easy. And I myself was a PCM student, taken admission in BTech, and just left BTech to study Sanskrit here. So I was just able to learn Sanskrit through a good guru and through good amount of books. So you just take some basic books, teach yourself Sanskrit and other books. So some simplification is not required. It is already simple. This way should be presented as it is. And the second portion, how should Sanskrit interlingua? Yeah, Sanskrit lingua is something, is just something which is not a part, which should not be a part of school education. Sanskrit interlingua is a part of research, because first of all, research needs to be happen. But in the case of school education, uh, uh, in the case of language learning, भाषा सीखने के केस में कैसे संस्कृत यूजफुल हो सकती है, मैं इसको इस प्रश्न को इस तरह से समझता हूँ. भाषा, नॉट एग्जैक्टली इंटरलिंगुआ. तो भाषा सीखने के लिए अब संस्कृत यदि भाषा सिखाएंगे तो कोई भी लैंग्वेज सीखना आसान हो जाता है. आप इट इज क्योंकि वो सारी इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस की रिप्रेजेंटेटिव लैंग्वेज है, लिंग्विस्टिकली भी और नॉलेज बेस में भी, दोनों में. क्योंकि लेक्सिकॉन जो है दोनों के कॉमन वर्ड्स है. इन तमिल, मलयालम, in any Indian languages, you will found 50 to 60% words will be common. And I'm not able to remember that name, but somebody, I just came through an article yesterday. One northeast language, which seems to be very far away, and one European language, Lithuanian. Lithuanian has almost 30 to 35% words of Sanskrit in their language. And just like gachati, so gachati को वो उसी तरीके से बोलते हैं जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं, थोड़ा सा वेरिएंस है. एंड जो लैंग्वेज का जो स्ट्रक्चर है, जो फ्री वर्ड ऑर्डर स्ट्रक्चर है, द लैंग्वेज फ्री वर्ड, the syntactical structure of Lithuanian is quite similar to Sanskrit, just like one northeastern language. So, if we use Sanskrit, because it is already a binding force, and it has been a binding force for the last 2,500 years, and it has been the main river from which canals have emerged. So, let's uh, we should all this accept this reality, and rather than duplicating efforts, or rather than moving into wrong direction in English or any other language, just make it happen through Sanskrit very easily. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Soni. I am Mr. Watten has also appreciated the lecture. He says that thank you for such a wonderful webinar on the on mother of all languages, that is Sanskrit. So definitely, it's a wonderful lecture, Dr. Soni. And as we discussed, we will look forward for more collaboration and working together in this direction, making the computing language and Sanskrit being the interface for converting the language, different Indian languages, and creating a library of all languages for this. That will be definitely wonderful work. As you said, like the different programming languages has been started, we can start a language on this. It will take I mean, it will have a long journey, but of course, if we look forward and we'll work together, I think from people, from researchers from different domains, I'm sure we can have a wonderful work on this forum. So,
Thank you. Okay, thank you. May I intervene for a moment? Okay,
yeah, yes, sure.
we have already 22 great minds other than me who
Mm-hmm.
are already present here. Uh, because I'm excluding myself. 22 great minds are already are there. I know some of them personally, and we
Okay.
make a team. We make a team, and we see many speakers of different languages. Okay, speakers of Odia, Rajasthani, Gujarati, and maybe some other language, English, Hindi, Sanskrit. This whole heterogeneous group is there. So we build up from here, and we take it as a challenge, and we make sincere efforts, and we can. Hopefully this team can lead the way.
Sure, sure, sure. I think I am only person who is not in your domain, probably not in language, coming from the computer science background. So I'll definitely love to work with your team. I had a discussion with Dr. Surabhi before also, and we'll look forward. I have a team of researchers. We can work together, and we'll definitely do something wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Soni, for your lecture and your time. It was definitely very much informative, and I'm sure all of us have learned many things from this. And the most important thing is, in spite of your health and in spite of your sickness, you have given the time and you have prepared this lecture. Thank you so much. And on behalf of the organizing team, I wish good health to you and get well soon. Over to you, Madam Neha or Madam Survi. If you have any concluding remark, please go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. I think we can formally thank Professor Soni for his lecture. And it was very visible from the way you have presented the amount of effort that you have put into it. And the participation from the audience side is also testimony to how your talk has impacted us. So, thank you so much, sir. So, on behalf of the organizing team, Professor Surbi Verma and also Professor Suchismita Chinara, I thank you officially for this session, and I also thank all the participants for joining and also for engaging in a very interactive dialogue with us. Thank you so much. We'll officially call it a day. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay. We just request all of you to switch on your camera to have a group photograph, and after that I would circulate the feedback form for all of you, and that form would be considered as the attendance for the session, and on behalf of that you would get the certificate for the session. Please switch on your camera.
Uh, Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Suchishmita, for calling me, and thank you, Professor Surbi Verma, and thank you, Professor Neha Soman, for calling me to deliver this lecture. I am very much grateful and indebted to learn with you. Okay, this was a webinar where the speaker was the most unlearned guy among the all the listeners were very much capable of doing things very well, and it is a speaker which has learned a lot from your inputs, and it will definitely help us working further, achieve further milestones. Thank you so much. Thank you to the Department of Computer Science and the Department of Humanities at NIT Rourkela. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Please turn on your cameras for the photograph. Participants, please. Thank you all. It's done.
Thank you.
Please fill the feedback form. It is circulated in the WhatsApp group also and in the chat box also before leaving. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Soni. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My computer went into hibernation, so I just started it to my mobile phone.
Okay, sir. No issues. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
एकटा एक्स्ट्रा करलिए
कहाँ एक्स्ट्रा करल एकटा छौ ना
एकटा एहिमे तऽ देलिए ना
हाँ
तऽ ई छोड़ा एहिमे गेल
हाँ
आ ई एहिमे गेल तऽ एकटा बचि गेल ना
नहीं बचि गेल तऽ कोनो छूटि गेल हाँ
गलती भऽ जेतै ना
अच्छा
ई ई जे मेकअपो तो नहि अथी भेल हँ
एक्स्ट्रा छै
एक्स्ट्रा भेल
से तो बान्हल गेल तऽ ताम गेल
नहीं मेकअप दुगो एक्स्ट्रा भऽ गेल
सबटा कथी
हाँ।
कर
एकटा एहिमे चलि गेल एकटा एहिमे चलि गेल तऽ दूटा एक्स्ट्रा भऽ गेल ना
देखो
हाँ एखन फाइनल थोड़ी भेलै
और किछु घटि रहल यऽ दुगो चीज एक्स्ट्रा भऽ रहल एगो चीज घटि रहल यऽ
करतै तऽ अच्छा जे बेसी छौ ना
बेसी बेसी कहाँ छै
बेसी नहि छै
बेसी कतऽ
एखन एक्स्ट्रा
बेसी इधर का नहीं मैं क्या साड़ी नहीं छै ओहि में साड़ी साड़ी भेट गेला
साड़ी हैया छौ
तो दही ना पन्नी पन्नी नहीं भेटल है कतो एही सब
ओहे तऽ मारि पानी छै
ई सब बड़ा ई सब के ओकर पन्नी छै एगो अथी धोती वाला पन्नी सब छले की भेलै स्टार्ट
आना देहा पे